The Pro Style Production Network presentation of The Inside Look is brought to you by Clean Tech. Clean Tech, coming to the rescue since 1992. And now, The Inside Look. It's the Inside Look podcast. The Inside Look podcast presented each and every time by our friends at Clean Tech. Get COVID-19 deep cleaning services for your home or business with Clean Tech LLC. This proactive deep cleaning service includes disinfecting and sanitizing. Don't forget about Clean Tech's 24/7 disaster response and restoration services. Visit them online at cleantechllc.us. Clean Tech, coming to the rescue since 1992. Today, our guest on the show is one of my favorite men in sports and one of the ones that I think does a fantastic job inside of the Magic City, inside of the state of North Dakota, inside of the region, maybe one of the best at his position across the country. It's the president of the Nodak Speedway, the president of Darn TV. It's Brandon Beeter that joins us here today. Good morning, Brandon. How are things going for you?
It's a Monday morning, Nick. Out here in the oil field, it's what we live for.
It's what we live for. Yeah, especially away from racing season. I know you're licking your chops and you live for that getting back there. Before we talk racing, you're also a guy that's got some kids enrolled at Bishop Ryan and some athletes that play there. Are you looking forward to the basketball season coming up?
Yeah, my son's travel basketball team, we started practicing a couple weeks ago. We're going to do that again. What they'll allow us to do with COVID's ramping back up again, we don't know what tournaments are out there. We've seen a couple down in the Bismarck-Mandan area that we're going to try to get in, but we're going to start full heavy on practice this week, Tuesdays and Thursdays. We practice 2 nights a week, and I can't wait to get back to that. That's my off season from racing fun that we get to do. And then maybe travel south. We'll see what things bring. I know we have some plans to maybe run down to Arizona and do some racing maybe in January or February.
And when you say we and going to do some racing, are you talking about you getting behind the wheel again and racing like you did at the end of 2020 here?
If the cards land or the cards play out, we're in the process of maybe trying to get another sport mod. I mean, we have my brother's sport mod, and if we get me1, we're going to work towards getting a second sport mod. So in essence, going into 2021, Brock, hopefully we'll have 2 sport mods, one for me to jump in behind the wheel every now and then when I want to take a break. The racing I did this fall in Hayes and just hanging out with my brother and Tim Anderson and my kids at the racetrack, that was such a fresh of breath air. It's so amazing to go to a racetrack and not be in charge of anything and knowing I'm not going to get my butt chewed when things maybe don't go the right way. It's a lot more fun, I guess. But I have fun doing the Nodak Speedway and the Darn TV stuff as well.
Well, 100%. That's why I want to talk to you today. And by the way, just so you know, if you guys have 2 sport mods in the Beeter camp, I did finish number 30 in points at Nodak Speedway in the hobby stocks. I was just 1 point back from Dana Brandt, of all people, who only raced 1 race at Nodak. But yeah, he finished 29th. I finished 30th. He's one of the best of all time, for goodness sakes.
You are on our short list. We have a list of drivers on a whiteboard at the shop. Guys that we want to drive our car. You are on the short list, maybe on the wrong side of never going to do it again short list, but you're on the short list.
Well, thank you for having me on the short list. So this is what I want to talk about today. The election process was underway. Not talking about Trump and Biden here. We're talking about Nodak Speedway and the roles of board of directors, president, you name it, all the way down. Yesterday, the voting happens. Where did we turn out yesterday? Is Brandon Beeter still the president of the Nodak Speedway?
Yes, after long discussion with the group that was in attendance. First off, I want to thank I made this clear in the Facebook post on the Nodak Speedway page. There's 170, 160 some members of the Nodak Speedway that bought their membership in 2020. Down a little bit from 2019. I think we were closer to 200 in 2019. But nonetheless, the 160 plus members, 21, and then plus me being the 22nd member of the Nodak Speedway, showed up to the election process. And I can't explain how disappointing that is. When we sat in that room yesterday and I looked around, and none of them people in that room deserve a butt chewing, deserve anything. So I tried to keep the meeting positive. But the people that didn't show up, that bitch at me and complained to me all summer long, that was your chance. I can't make that clear enough, and I don't understand it. But the people that did show up, we appreciate them being there, making their voices heard, talking about 2021. I myself, the president coming back for 21 and 22. Everybody gets 2 more years of me. I know that my wife isn't the super most excited about that. My brother isn't excited about that. My kids are. They love me being president because they get free reign of the Nodak Speedway on Sunday nights. My son gets to be flag man. My daughter, she's expressed interest. It's kind of a neat deal. She's expressed interest in becoming the track photographer for next year and working with Julie, the one that does it now, and buying herself a camera. She wants to, because my mom, her grandma, did some photography. She wants to dive into that world. So I'm looking forward to 2021, getting going. I'd like to do some more racing this winter, and maybe January, February, maybe even December, we'll have an exciting announcement coming out of the Beeter racing camp about another generation driver. Let's call it a third generation, maybe getting his start in 2021.
I love it. There's so much to dive back into here, and one of the things I want to go back to is when you talk about people bitching at you and you talk about people attacking you. I want to touch on this just for a second. In my mind, it feels like Nodak Speedway is always going to have some of that negative stuff, which we had last year. We see that. There's going to be people that disagree with calls and the way the track is set up. And, I mean, for goodness sakes, you could disagree with ketchup and mustard on the hot dog when it just should have been plain with onions on it, for goodness sake. And people, if they find a way to complain, they will. I get that. How much did you actually take last year from a president role? And I know that you're not this isn't crying to mom here. This is just how hard is that job? How much of a heat is on your back from time to time at Nodak Speedway? Can you be real with us on that?
It depends on the week. There were some weeks where I wanted to throw in the towel and just walk away from the sport of racing altogether. People can be ruthless. People can be mean. I pride myself in thick skin. Nick Hulberg can call me a son of a bee and yell at me and scream at me and wishes he could die on Sunday night after the races or even Monday morning. But Tuesday, him and I will go to lunch and we'll talk it out. I pride myself on not holding grudges. I don't hold anything against people. The heat of the moment, I've been there. I've done that. But there was 2 instances this summer that I think I had conversations with you on a Monday or Tuesday morning where I was ready to walk away. Just because the drama, the childish nature that we have up here in the racing world, it disappoints me from time to time. But we get past that and we move forward. I don't know how much you want to dive in. I've never been personally attacked until this year. A call that was on my brother that you made your video about came back and not necessarily haunted me, but came back with some accusations later in the year. That ain't cool. They obviously don't understand the bigger picture of what we're trying to do and promote the sport of racing with the video you did. You helped, solve that a little bit, towards the end of the year and talk to that person. So that's, I just don't want to be personally attacked or my wife or kids. They don't need to be involved in it.
Well, for goodness sake, especially when it's a job that is a volunteer basis job. We talked about that at the end of the year last year. For anyone listening to this that doesn't know, again, it's the Inside Look brought to you by Clean Tech. We're joined by Brandon Beeter, the president of the Nodak Speedway, the owner of Darn TV. When you look back to that and just look at what your role actually is, how much money are you making off of being the president of Nodak Speedway? I already know this answer, but why don't you tell everyone listening to this, you put in 40, 50, 60, 70, depends on the hours in the week that you're able to give up, and pretty much every free hour you're at the Playground of Power, and you make $0 off of this. Is that correct?
Actually, I get paid the huge wage of $0.00. It's an outstanding wage that I think everybody dreams about making in their life. Thankfully, I have a great job that's lenient with me out here in the oil field that lets me take off early the days I need to be off early and go back. And then my wife has jumped in feet first. Hopefully I get the same out of her next year, even though she's not happy I'm not president, or that I am president. But we joked at the meeting on Sunday that I needed to have more kids, and then I could just have enough volunteers out of my family to run the show. But I didn't like that answer. I didn't want to run the whole thing every night. But
moving forward, Brandon, anything that anything that us as fans, us as race car drivers, and I put an asterisk by that when I say that, by the way, just so you know, anything for us as fans and members of Nodak Speedway that we're going to see change in 2021. Is there anything that we can expect to be different in the next season coming up?
The plan moving forward is to keep the similar plan we've had this year. The unknown of COVID going into the season this year made us make some changes that financially helped the Nodak Speedway. We're sitting, because of the changes of we don't have a marketing director. We didn't have a marketing director in 2020. The board did it by committee, going out and visiting businesses, getting sponsors. That savings of a salary that we have paid in the past helped the Nodak Speedway financially succeed. We're sitting with basically double the bank account of where we were last year at this time, and we've made about $20,000 of investment improvements into the track equipment. We've got a couple tractors, a new wheel packer. But as for the race night, we talked at length during our meeting yesterday that we want to keep the 2.5 hour maximum program going, start at 7, be done at 9:30. We think that's huge for the race fans. I know that some of the weekly fans, the people that are there each and every week that are diehards, don't like this, but we are going to continue the class rotation. We're going to have, hobbies will be off 1 week, stock cars off, sport compacts will join us again on a basically a part-time basis. We just talked at length that it's key to have limited classes on a Sunday evening to get people in and out of there as long as the racing's good, which we have had good racing in the past. Last year was some of the best we've ever seen. We can get people to come back because they're entertained. The wingless sprint cars, I believe, are going to come in for 3 times next year. I know them were a huge hit last year.
Nice.
We're going to bring them in an extra time. We've started working with Miles Tomlinson already. I know I'm excited. I'm going to try as Darn TV to be a bigger part of that wingless sprint deal. The Western Renegade, I love what they're doing. They're promoting the sport of racing in the correct way, and I want to be involved in that. That's what I'm here for. But as for when you show up on Sunday night in 2021, it's going to be very similar to 2020. We're going to try to keep the plan we have going. That's one of the things that brought me back as president. I didn't want to come back as president. I want to move into a dad role with my son. He is at the verge of starting his racing career here in the next 2 years because he's 13 years old now. I really wanted to focus on him, do 1 more year racing for me, and then just let him take the reins. But the momentum we have moving forward at the Nodak Speedway, the group of people that we have together, the board is virtually unchanged. The only difference is Stu Craig has left the board. He didn't get voted in. He ran for his position, went up against Jeff Barta. Jeff Barta ended up getting more votes. So Jeff Barta has moved into the board role. Other than that, everything has stayed the same from last year. So consistency, I think, is going to be key in this because a lot of the plan and ideas we had last year in 2020 are going to move forward to 2021.
I don't think there's anyone out there in their right mind that can say that Nodak Speedway was anything but awesome this year with the way that the racing ended up shaking down. You look at the hobby stocks, for example, and you look at Birch and Appelt, King, all right there. Birch ends up winning it. Appelt 6 points back. He rolled the race car over on championship night. But you look at the way those points shook out. You look at the stock cars and the modifieds and everybody across the board. I mean, it was absolutely insanity to me how close the races actually came down to the wire. Chris Zenz and Greg Zenz, 5 points different in the sport compacts. You look at the point leader, Mad Mike Hagan, who gets the win, 2 wins on the year at the Playground of Power, and he ends up tying Brett Woznicki for the number 1 spot. Woznicki didn't have any wins on the year, so Hagen becomes the champion. You look at Cole Schill in the late models, only a 5-point gap there. That's because they only had 1 run at the Playground of Power, of course. But you look at the sport mods, Robbie Roselli ties Chad Strachan. We got ties all over the place for championships. That means that the racing was good, and there's no doubt about it that each and every night the racing at the Playground of Power was fantastic. I think that board of directors, yourself, everybody included, the way that was made to flow the way that it did certainly deserves a lot of credit. And I'm excited for 2021 without a doubt. And not to hijack the conversation, but I got to know, you went down to Super Nationals. You were selected by IMCA TV to go down to Super Nationals. Congratulations, by the way. That is so fantastic that you're representing North Dakota on that spectrum. Talk about that experience and what you bring back from Super Nationals that you learned down there, the experience of it. What is the biggest takeaway from being a part of Super Nationals in the inner workings of that stuff, Brandon?
I got to experience a lot of things, and my mind was blown. I pride myself in being kind of a jack of all trades, and I looked around down there and I seen people that are probably better at being a jack of all trades than I am. And just talking to them people and bringing and learning, I learned so much about track prep. I talked to the track prep crew. They have different dirt than we do, but some of the stuff translates back to the Nodak Speedway and just how we can run a show and prep the track at maybe an intermission or get some moisture in or do this, do that. And then as an announcer, getting to just hang out with Ryan Clark and Jerry Van Sickle. Those two, in my mind, are 2 of the best announcers in the country, and just picking their brain and learning from them and how to do a victory lane interview and how to talk to a driver down there. And I just think it helps so much to bring that knowledge back to North Dakota. It's the same thing my brother and I did 5-6 years ago when we were going down to Iowa and Kansas racing, on a monthly basis. We get on there once a month and race, and bring that knowledge back and just help, do a better job at the Nodak Speedway. Now, when I'm in Victory Lane on Sunday nights in 2021, you guys might see a little different flavor, a little different flair, something different that I picked up when I was down there that I can translate into what we do here. And number one, it's so fun being down there.
Nice. Yeah.
It rained a lot. I'd rather be a duck in that situation. But it's still the experience of being there and doing that, is so fun. I know they've tentatively reached out to do it again in 2021. I'm not sure if I'll be down there or if I won't be down there. It all depends on what plans we have for next year and what I got going on. As I said, I want to transition into being a dad first. That's the main thing on my mind. I only have so many years left with these kids, Nick. They're getting big.
Well, and that's one thing that everybody loves about you is that you've got, I don't know how else to say it, a great head on your shoulders, and you do things the right way. And yeah, a lot of respect to that. And hopefully your kids continue to love racing the way they do, so we continue to get you and be around you. That's the other thing, and the final thing I want to touch on with you here, Brandon. Talk about Darn TV just a little bit and what that was like in 2020 with the opportunity to be able to broadcast races at times where, not everybody wanted to get out of the house and come watch a race because of the situation that faces us today in the world. Touch on Darn TV and the future for Darn TV and a little bit of the past here this year. How are things going with the leader in motorsports coverage in Western North Dakota?
Darn TV started out, you could definitely tell there was a pandemic going on and nobody wanted to leave the house. We made agreements with racetracks to share the broadcasting revenue. I think that was huge. The racetracks sure appreciated it. It was a bigger dollar and cents. We knew going into it that the money was probably going to be larger than we've ever seen before. Because people wanted to stay home, they wanted to stay safe, watch it in the living room, and I'm glad to be able to offer that. That's so fun that the text messages, the messages you get at night, on race night saying, "Hey, thank you for doing this because I'm sitting at home with my baby and I don't want to take him out," or whatever, We expanded out to Devil's Lake last year. We added another track. Hopefully in 2021 I can add another track, maybe get down to, another eastern track. We take care of Western North Dakota pretty good. We do the Estevan Motor Speedway and Minot and Williston and Dickinson, and then we do some one-offs in Botno and Underwood. But not really. We haven't really went east a whole bunch, and Devil's Lake was our first eastern track. And then one of the other cool things is working with Chris Grainer and the gang there at IMCA TV, and Rivet is actually the platform that Chris started. I got to go over to Grand Forks and help them their first two broadcasts and set them up, River City Speedway TV. And some people think, Brandon's just in it for darn TV and the money and this and that and whatever. Dude, I'm here to grow the sport of racing and to promote racing. And I didn't make a single penny off going over on 2 Friday nights and helping out Grand Forks. I just wanted to do it so that way them guys could broadcast the races. And honestly, maybe, guys like Larry McFall could sit down on a Friday night and watch some sprint car racing, because I know he's a sprint car fan, and that's what it's all about, So maybe 2021, if I could hire Nick Hulberg a little bit more, maybe I could go east and do some Jamestowns or Fargos.
I had a good time heading out to Devil's Lake last year. Jamestown, Fargo sounds good, man. I've got a little fan. I got a baby on the way and stuff like that, but I'm sure that if he's anything like me and mom, he'll like dirt track racing, hopefully just as much, man. I don't know, at 6 months old.
You're gonna need some diaper money.
Yeah, that's right. Yeah, 100%. We love it. We'll just I'll look like the guy from The Hangover in Vegas, where he's got the baby strapped to the head, right to the front of him. We'll be running a camera, calling the races. It'll be fantastic.
Honestly, we need to do that.
I love it. Brandon, fantastic job with everything you're doing, man. Congratulations again on becoming the president of Nodak Speedway. I feel, as a fan of that race club, I'm 35 years old today. I've been coming to the races for over 30 years now. I don't know a time in history that I recall ever feeling so confident that I'm showing up for a good show each and every night. That I thank you for what you're doing there. Darn TV's been fantastic. You representing us down at Super Nationals is fantastic as well. Hats off to a great job. I know that we're a ways away from the race season, but really once the snow hits and it starts to turn the corner, people are getting the cars ready. People are getting ready for the races to fire back up. And as soon as Mother Nature cooperates and the snow melts, we're going green flag racing again. So it's coming around quicker than we think. And I just want to say thanks for everything that you do, man.
Yeah, no problem. Race fans, just stay tuned. We don't have a date set for our banquet and our car show yet. We're working with the state fair and waiting on some of this COVID stuff to settle out. Nobody knows. The worst part about COVID is you don't know. The unknown is real, and it's so frustrating. And so we're looking at March or April to maybe roll a banquet and a car show out for everybody so that we can celebrate our champions from 2020. And we'll just go from there. Just stay tuned for dates. That's all I ask people.
Sure appreciate you, Brandon. Hope you have a great day. Thanks for talking to us today.
Yep. Thanks, Nick. Had fun as usual.